and it is this, that Khalid ibn al-Walid was one of the 3 greatest warriors of all time. And that's one of the reasons why I want to cover him, is because I just want to do a profile in a person who, if you're interested in warfare, it totally embodied warfare. So having said all this, I want to start by actually attacking the way history is taught in the United States. The first is sort of a proximity bias. Because the last 350 years are closer to us, they therefore must be more important, which is definitely wrong. But the defeat in Afghanistan in the 19th century, was it in the last 200 years? The British have been beaten 4 times, 2 times in the 19th century. And so it's closer to you, but it has a much smaller impact than that event 2,000 years ago, the Battle of Actium. And so the first problem is this bias is wrong. The second problem with this bias is its racist implications. It is a profoundly racist bias because what it attempts to do is distill Western civilization into a history of how cool white people are, as opposed to actually looking at Western civilization for what it was, which was not a color-based endeavor. While Europeans had no indoor plumbing and no paved roads, and their life expectancy was 40, and the way they took care of their waste was they would do it in a chamber pot and fling it into the street, the Middle East had indoor plumbing that brought fresh water in and took sewage water out. The Middle East had streets that were lit up at night with oil lamps. In part because I want to set the mood, show you the technology that was available at the time, and then tell you why what follows follow. The reason that battle took place is because of what a guy named Gaius Julius Caesar did. You guys incorrectly call him Julius Caesar. Caesar, I'm going to do it too, because it's fun. Who doesn't like to mispronounce things on purpose? Caesar decided his family was going bankrupt, that the best way that he could solve the bankruptcy was to start an illegal war with the Celts living in Gaul, conquer them, and then plunder their resources and enslave them. And so that's what he does. And he becomes fabulously wealthy and he saves his family from bankruptcy. He was part of a secret illegal arrangement with 2 other men. The 3 men were in the Senate. There were 2 patricians and a plebeian. The Senate always wanted a plebeian on board, and the plebeian, of course, was Pompey Magnus, the most famous plebeian to be in the Senate. And then Caesar, who was a patrician, and another guy named Crassus. Nobody ever remembers Crassus. Crassus and Pompey hated each other's guts, and there was a little bit of fear that maybe a civil war would break out. So to prevent the civil war, Crassus, Pompey, and Caesar got together and created this secret little power arrangement so that they could control the Senate, and then basically the 3 of them would rule Rome, and everybody would pretend somebody else was doing it. They're like, whoa, we can't just chase these guys. Okay, we need to be a little more cautious. And the Persians start running up a hill. So now the Romans are slowly following after them. And the Persians turn around and shoot, but because the Romans have slowed down, they go back into Testudo, and not many are injured. They don't quite get into Testudo in time, so some of them do get injured. And so it slows the Romans down. They're getting a little nervous about all of this. But then the Persians go over the top of the hill.